on that morning, I was working a day shift in the New Jersey State Police, and I was assigned to the Teams unit, which was a specialized and elite unit within the New Jersey State Police. And it stood for Technical Emergency and Mission Specialist. And what that was, there was 30 troopers out of about 3,000 at that time that were qualified with this training. And we were basically the SWAT team. We were the snipers. We were the heavy rescue people. We were the divers for the state police. Anything with high profile dignitaries, presidents, heads of state, things like that. We were dignitary protection. And that was my full-time position at the time of 9/11. I was actually the acting sergeant at the time. I was being promoted to sergeant soon thereafter. So on that morning, I was in Troop C, Princeton headquarters, which was the headquarters for the central part of the state that I worked out of. Was in there doing administration work while the rest of my folks, there was 10 of us on the team in the central part of the state, were down on the range and they were shooting, practicing with their weapons. So I was doing the administration work, and somebody, I don't remember who it was, came up into my office and said, "Hey, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. You want to go downstairs and take a look?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll be down in a second." And by no means did I think it was to the magnitude of what we experienced. I was just thinking that, it could have been a Piper plane or something that was out of the air or in the airspace that they weren't supposed to be in. So, I kind of took my time, and then I seen people scurrying around and saying, "Hey, did you see what happened at the Trade Center?" Went downstairs into my lieutenant's office, and at that time, the second plane, we watched it came and hit the tower. And immediately we all looked at each other and we knew what was happening, that this was a terrorism event. And with that being said, my lieutenant said, "You better start finding out where the guys are and, get the equipment together because New York's going to need help." So, fast forward, notify the guys, put them on standby in case NYPD or FDNY was going to need any assistance at the time with, rescue operations, because it looked like it was a catastrophic event with a terrorism attack on America where 2 towers were hit at the time. Shortly thereafter, probably, I want to say around 11:30, we got a call from the governor, who was Governor McGreevey at the time, activating resources of the New Jersey State Police into New York City to help out. And the main resource was us, the heavy rescue guys, along with our urban search and rescue team was activated. So we immediately got all our assets together, all our trailers of equipment, got all our people prepared, and we immediately deployed into New York City. We went to New York City. We met with NYPD command post, FDNY command post, and all the other search and rescue folks that were specialized, NYPD ESU and the fire department folks. And basically from there, we stood by and waited for our assignment. They housed us at the Javits Center. We had our own little portion underneath in a garage where we built our encampment, and we stayed there for quite a bit of time. And, until we were put on the pile and started our search and rescue operation.
And what did you see starting your rescue operation that day?
My first observation as the boss, because I was with 2 other sergeants by the name of Jim Cran and Jay Peacock, one from South Jersey, one from North Jersey. And when we went there and we did our initial assessment, because we were partnered up with FDNY and NYPD and even Port Authority at the time, was just absolute amazement because the buildings were down at that time. And just, the smoke, the fire, the debris, trying to get a sense of what just happened and what we were actually looking at. I mean, to know several hours ago that those buildings stood as tall as they did, and now they were just succumbed to a pile of rubble, and to know that thousands of people maybe in that rubble, and police and fire and everybody else, most definitely we were going to see a catastrophic loss of life in there. It was just an unbelievable thought. And to try and put in perspective what we were looking at was just absolutely amazing. And thinking, this is the United States of America. This just doesn't happen here. How did this happen? What is going on? Well, at the same time, we knew that, the Pentagon got struck, and then you had the other plane go down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. It was serious concerns of what was happening and what else was out there at the time, where there going to be further attacks on the United States. So trying to get our arms wrapped around everything that was going on, not only in New York City, but then dealing with the home state of New Jersey and our responsibilities in New Jersey in the event that things had to be done in New Jersey as far as securing and protecting, which also went on every day, because as the FBI was doing their investigation, it brought us back into New Jersey to some of the hot spots where some of these folks, either visited or lived in New Jersey. I'm talking about the hijackers that went out of, the airports, and that led us back as the SWAT team to do some of the high profile entries and execution of search warrants over there. So as a team, we pretty much had our hands full many hours of the day, either search and rescue or working with, the federal government on execution of search warrants, and wearing multiple hats during this time.
What was, it's hard to even ask, but as part of the, was there anyone that you could rescue, and what was that like, if so, and what was it like recovering the first body part or body that you recovered?
That in itself, we never lost faith, for the first couple of days, in that hope that you were going to find somebody. And, that was the mission, to find somebody, and, recover something. And then it turns into, an operation where, you've seen the heartbreak and, the stories of people looking for their loved ones and hadn't heard from them. And, like you said, if it was a recovery of a body or a body part or something like that, to do our job, that's part of what we were doing. But that in itself was very, very difficult, because we were trained as heavy rescue folks. So we'd be getting dropped into voids, any little void that you could see, climbing through steel and trying to make your way through these things, hoping that you heard something or somebody, banging on something that, maybe there was some sort of life still living down in these voids, and trying to do that. But, it was a mission. You knew the importance of the mission, either to save, rescue, or unfortunately it led to recovery of many bodies, body parts, and the things that we've seen. And that was our job, to do that, to hopefully, unfortunately give a family some sort of closure that their loved one was located, and or we can verify that the person passed away in these attacks. And we did everything humanly possible to preserve and give dignity to that loss of life, and doing it in a way that was very professionally done. And at the same time, know that there was 343 firemen, I believe it was 23 NYPD officers and 37 Port Authority officers that were in that rubble that succumbed to their injuries. And the Port Authority, which I now represent, still holds the record of the largest loss of life for a police officer in one single day. And that's 37 cops were lost on that day. And that was just paralyzing to that agency at the time. So it was, very surreal what we experienced and what we were going through at the time. And as you know, there was just so many people in different agencies that were involved in, search and rescue efforts. We were a little bit different because of our training, with heavy rescue, and being able to, cut through steel and do different things with the fire department and get lowered into different voids, because we had that capability of doing it. So our operations were a little bit more intense than what you see at the bucket brigades and things like that. We were actually, in the steel, climbing under things, and, trying to locate loss of life, and, recover remains however possible.
Were you able to make any rescue?
No rescues on our team. A lot of recovery, though.
How do you deal with that when you went during that moment?
During that moment, the thing was the mission of what we had to do. You really didn't wrap your arms around what just happened until it was weeks later, when you actually got a chance to sit down and actually think about everything that went on, and what the country had just went through, and start thinking about what you looked at. People would ask me, what was it like, the pile? What did it look like? And the biggest thing I always remember, and I say to people, you think about the offices in the World Trade Center. How many offices were there? How many desks, phones, computers, chairs, things like that? I did not see one phone, one desk, one chair, nothing. All the commonalities of what's inside an office, nothing was there. Everything was pulverized. It was steel and concrete and rebar, and the dust clouds, from the concrete being pulverized. But that was really interesting to me. Paper, a lot of paper all over the place, and things like that. But the biggest thing that's stuck out to me was no furniture, no phones, all the common things that you would see in an office building. And two of them of that size and the amount of offices, that actually caught up to me later. And when you thought about that, like, wow, where did all that stuff go? And everything just got pulverized as the buildings came down.
How did this change your life at Cetnar?
Oh, it had a great impact, because it was something that, my generation, obviously, it was something that we never seen. And to be attacked in the United States of America, where, we never thought that would be possible, that somebody would be able to, perform an attack of that magnitude, and not only in New York, but, out at the Pentagon also. And, how, we became vulnerable at that time. And as a country, to see how we were going to, adapt and overcome, and, deal with all the adversity that just happened throughout the country, and stick together as Americans, that was a great sense of pride, to see how, the country reacted, and how everybody came together. And, with the enormous loss of life, because I think anybody that lives in this area, in this region, probably knew someone that passed away or was killed by that tragedy. And, the amount of funerals you went to, and just the way it changed everybody's life, from raising your children to your everyday thought process now. And could this happen again? Every time you heard a plane, you looked up in the sky and wondered, what was going on. When we returned to NFL football, MetLife Stadium, which used to be Giant Stadium then, the New Jersey State Police, we were in charge of the security there at the stadium. So when the NFL started back up, my unit was responsible to go and protect the venue, and have, any vulnerabilities where somebody could drive a truck bomb into a stadium, those access points where now we posted troopers with machine guns. Never in, before had we ever done that as sporting events, where we had to take those steps to protect 80,000 people going to enjoy a football game, where we had to have such security measures put in place. And, the whole world changed that day. And, even now what we do, and some of the things that we've changed in our approaches to security, and how we protect different things. And it was quite a learning experience, and it changed law enforcement. I think it changed the country dramatically that day, and continues to change the country, because this is never going away. We're going to see that terrorists are always going to try and, take another shot at the United States. And hopefully we mitigate it, and we succeed in some of the countermeasures that we have in place now.
But this took a toll on your personal health.
Yeah. Unfortunately, working on that pile, I was contracted a few years ago, where I have stage 4 cancer, renal cancer, that metastasized into my lungs. And it was 100% attributable to my work at Ground Zero. The pathology report confirmed all the toxins that were in the tumor was exactly what was in the air at Ground Zero that day. So, the sacrifice that I made, that day, not only as a state trooper and an American, and now, most likely is going to cost me many years off my life, because although I'm doing okay right now, the prognosis is not a good prognosis. I know that anybody that knows anything about cancer, and, you hear the word stage 4. It's a very alarming, moniker to have put on you, where they're basically telling you it's a matter of time when this will take over and it will pretty much end your life. And I will tell you this, people ask me this question, do you regret what you did? You regret going there? And I don't. I can honestly say yes. I'm angry because of what happened to me and what happens to my family through this, that I may get cheated out of years with my family. But that was what I was trained to do. That was my job that day. And, as an American, that was my responsibility to go and try and help out the rest of society and search, recover, and do our part, for a country that was just attacked. So, there's very mixed emotions on, what I'm going through and what I had to go through and what I continue to go through every day, dealing with this illness. And like I said, right now we're doing okay. But, you're always looking over your shoulder, that time bomb with stage 4 cancer is there. And, I just have to deal with it the best I can and go about enjoying my life and, doing what I can, to enjoy it as much time as I got left here.
And yet, you are still heading the Port Authority Police Department to this day, despite battling stage 4 cancer.
Yes, and I'm sitting in my office right now speaking to you, and how ironic that, I was a New Jersey State Trooper on 9/11 when this happened, and obviously everyone knows the Port Authority owned those buildings, and the Port Authority Police Department served as the security at the World Trade Center, as well as all the bridges, tunnels, and other iconic structures in New York and New Jersey. And now I serve as the superintendent of that police department. And I mean, how things come full circle. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd ever be working here, but I am, and it drives me every day. Because I have such pride in not only what I did as a trooper, but now I'm part of this organization that went through a horrendous event, losing 37 police officers on that day. And now I have, a big say into the way we run this police department, how we deploy our resources, our counterterrorism, how we protect the infrastructure. And I take great pride in knowing that I can improve this operation, and we're saving lives each and every day. And the men and women out there with the Port Authority PD and all law enforcement and first responders do a tremendous job each and every day. And right now, the times that we're going through are very difficult, but we continue to be professional and hold our head high, and do our best to protect everybody each and every day.
Anything you'd like to add?
I don't know. I think we covered a lot of it. It's something I think for our generation will never go away, 9/11. Every generation says, when President Kennedy was killed, they knew where they were. I mean, we will never forget, like we opened up, I'll never forget where I was, what I was doing that whole day and the weeks to follow, what it was. And like I said, had a great impact, obviously, on my life because of the health issues now. But, I think that, what I contribute to society right now as a public official, and lived through that and the experiences I had. I planned the security for the Super Bowl in 2014 as a trooper, and I set all the search and recovery standards during Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey. So I've had quite a bit of experience doing a lot of high-profile things in my career. And I will say this, that my actions and things that I did on 9/11 will forever be in my memory as probably the most memorable, job and experience I've ever had, because it will never go away. And like I said, if I didn't have the cancer, I don't know how much it would stick with me. It certainly would stick with me, but the getting sick as a result of what happened down there and the air quality and things like that certainly magnifies the need to never forget what happened and all the people that sacrifice, and their families, what they sacrifice, to keep this country going, and, move on, and never quit. And that's my mantra. Never quit, never forget, and I'm never going to give up.
Thank you so much.